Have you ever met someone who always seems positive, like they're radiating good vibes every moment of the day? It feels refreshing, right? But what if I told you that this constant positivity could be hiding something you wouldn't expect? In this video, we're going to dig deep into the truth behind people who seem too good to be true. Are they really as harmless as they appear, or could there be something more going on beneath the surface? Stick with me, because what you're about to learn might change how you see good vibes forever. You won't want to miss this. By the end, you'll know how to spot the signs and protect yourself from the subtle dangers behind that cheerful smile. Ready to uncover the truth? Let's dive in. 1. Manipulation in disguise. We've all met that one person who radiates good vibes constantly, right? They're the kind of person who seems genuinely uplifting, always encouraging and filling the room with positivity. But have you ever stopped to wonder if that energy might be hiding something more? See, positivity is powerful, but in the wrong hands, it can also be a mask for manipulation. This person can use their charm to make you feel good, constantly praising you and making you believe that they have your best interests at heart. At first glance, it seems harmless, even helpful. But over time, something shifts. Imagine this. They tell you something like, "I know you can do better," or "I believe in you." Sounds innocent, right? But when it's said to subtly guilt-trip you into meeting their expectations or bending to their needs, you start to feel a pressure you didn't see coming. The constant association with good vibes lowers your guard. You trust them more, feel more relaxed in their presence, and before you know it, their expectations become the standards you feel compelled to meet, whether you want to or not. Psychological research has shown that people are more likely to comply with requests from those they find likable or trustworthy. This means that in the hands of a skilled manipulator, positive energy becomes a tool for controlling the people around them. They mold your behavior to suit their own agenda. It's subtle but effective, and many don't see it until it's too late. So, while we all love a positive person, it's crucial to pay attention to what's beneath the surface, because sometimes those good vibes come with a hidden cost. 2. Surface-level positivity. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who seemed endlessly positive, yet left you feeling like you barely scratched the surface? It's easy to confuse constant positivity with emotional wisdom or depth. We assume that someone who is always cheerful must have some kind of profound inner peace or understanding of life. But more often than not, that isn't the case. Sometimes these people cling to good vibes as a way of avoiding the real, deep, and often messy parts of life. Think about it. Have you ever tried to discuss something meaningful, maybe a personal struggle or a tough decision, only for the conversation to circle back to some generic motivational quote? Instead of diving into the complexities of the issue, they offer feel-good phrases that dodge any real emotional engagement. Sure, it might make you feel better in the moment, but it doesn't really help solve the problem, does it? This surface-level positivity can be especially dangerous in leadership roles. Imagine a boss who only ever focuses on the bright side, never wanting to talk about the challenges or the tough decisions that need to be made. While it might seem like they're creating a positive work environment, they're actually avoiding the deeper issues. Important conversations about struggles, obstacles, or growth are swept under the rug in favor of maintaining a cheerful atmosphere. But when real problems arise, this lack of emotional depth can lead to poor decision-making and unresolved conflicts. So next time you're around someone who's always pushing good vibes, ask yourself, are they offering real substance, or are they just glossing over the tough stuff? 3. Boundary issues. Positivity is great until it starts to blur boundaries. Have you ever noticed that some of the most upbeat people also tend to overshare, or worse, expect you to be equally open and available at all times? It's easy to mistake their constant cheerfulness for harmless friendliness, but in reality, they may be crossing lines you didn't even realize were there. Let's say you have a boss who's all about good vibes and creating a positive work culture. At first, it feels amazing to be part of such an upbeat environment. But over time, you notice they start to expect more and more from you. Constant availability, working late hours, or answering messages on weekends. All under the guise of being a team player or keeping the good energy flowing. What was once a positive atmosphere now feels overwhelming, leading to burnout and frustration. In personal relationships, it can feel even more invasive. A friend who's always pushing for good vibes may overshare personal details or pry into your life, expecting you to open up in return. When you try to set boundaries, they act hurt or offended, making you feel like the bad guy for needing space. It's exhausting. The truth is, establishing clear and healthy boundaries is essential for your mental and emotional well-being. Studies show that people with strong boundaries experience lower levels of anxiety and have higher self-esteem. So, while it's tempting to go along with someone's seemingly endless positivity, it's important to recognize when they're pushing you beyond your comfort zone. Protect your peace, because no amount of good vibes is worth sacrificing your mental health. And speaking of protecting your well-being and making positive changes, let's talk about another powerful way to improve your life. Imagine if you could attract huge money effortlessly starting today. Sounds intriguing, right? Well, it's possible. There's a fascinating method shared by a rogue NASA scientist that reveals shocking wealth secrets. If you're ready to discover how to manifest financial abundance and take control of your financial future, check out the link in the comments below. Unlock these life-changing secrets and see how you can start attracting wealth effortlessly. Now, let's get back into the exploration, and that we've explored the importance of setting boundaries to protect your well-being. Let's dive deeper into another critical aspect. Understanding how some people use their good vibes to avoid accountability. 4. Avoiding accountability. One of the most frustrating aspects of people who are always radiating good vibes is their ability to dodge responsibility. They've mastered the art of deflecting criticism using their constant positivity as a shield. When they make a mistake, instead of owning up to it, you'll hear phrases like, "Let's not dwell on the negative," or "Everything happens for a reason." While these sayings might sound harmless, they create a barrier that keeps them from ever being held accountable. It's as though their positivity becomes an escape route from any difficult conversation or constructive feedback. Now, think about how damaging this can be in a work environment. Imagine a manager who's always preaching good vibes, but when things go wrong, they never take responsibility. Instead of addressing the issue, they sweep it under the rug with a smile, leaving employees feeling frustrated and demoralized. Over time, this can lead to serious dysfunction within a team or company. When problems are consistently ignored, not only does progress stall, but the morale of the group suffers. Employees lose trust in their leader, knowing that challenges will never be tackled head-on. Growth, whether personal or professional, requires taking ownership of mistakes and learning from them. Constantly avoiding accountability under the guise of positivity prevents that growth and can be toxic to those around them. It's crucial to recognize when someone's good vibes are being used as a defense mechanism, allowing them to sidestep responsibility. 5. Emotional suppression. Have you ever felt like you couldn't share how you truly felt with someone who was always exuding positivity? This is another downside of being around people who are relentlessly upbeat. When someone is constantly pushing good vibes, they can unintentionally suppress both their own emotions and yours. Picture this. You're going through a tough time, trying to open up about your struggles, and the first thing you hear is, "Just think positive." On the surface, this might seem like they're trying to help, but it often comes across as dismissive and invalidating. We all have negative emotions sometimes, and it's essential to process them, not shove them aside. When someone keeps telling you to stay positive, no matter what, it can make you feel guilty for feeling upset, sad, or stressed. You might start thinking, is something wrong with me for not always being happy? But the truth is, experiencing a full range of emotions is a normal, healthy part of life. Psychological studies have shown that suppressing emotions, especially negative ones, can lead to mental health issues like anxiety and depression. Just because someone projects endless positivity doesn't mean they're helping you. In fact, they may be encouraging you to bottle up emotions that need to be released and understood. So the next time someone's good vibes only attitude makes you feel like you can't be real about what you're going through, remember that it's okay to not be okay. Emotional suppression is unhealthy, and no amount of positivity should make you feel guilty for being human. 6. The image of perfection. Have you ever met someone who seems to have it all together? The perfect life, the perfect family, the perfect job, and they make it look effortless. People who constantly exude good vibes often project this image of perfection. They appear to be on top of the world, never showing cracks in their flawless exterior. But here's the thing. No one is perfect, and maintaining this facade can be incredibly exhausting, both mentally and emotionally. Behind that image of constant positivity often lies vulnerability. People who seem to have it all may be under intense pressure to maintain that illusion. Whether it's pressure from society, their peers, or even themselves, constantly projecting an image of perfection can lead to burnout and anxiety. They become disconnected from their true selves, hiding their struggles, doubts, and fears behind a wall of positivity. Over time, this disconnection can make them feel more isolated, as they're afraid to show any sign of imperfection. And for those observing from the outside, it's easy to fall into the comparison trap. You might find yourself wondering, why can't I be that happy all the time? Or, what am I doing wrong? But the reality is, what you're seeing is often a carefully curated image. Comparing yourself to someone else's highlight reel can make you feel inadequate, when in truth, they're likely facing the same challenges as everyone else. No one is happy all the time, and projecting constant positivity can be just as draining as it is inspiring. So, while good vibes can be uplifting, it's important to recognize when they're masking deeper issues. Don't let someone's image of perfection make you feel like you're falling short. We all have ups and downs, and true happiness comes from embracing life's imperfections, not hiding behind a flawless facade. 7. Denying reality. While positivity is often celebrated as a key to happiness, there's a fine line between being optimistic and denying reality. People who are fixated on projecting good vibes can sometimes slip into a dangerous territory where they completely ignore or downplay life's challenges. For them, it's all about focusing on the bright side, often to the point of disregarding real-world problems. This becomes particularly harmful when they dismiss systemic issues like inequality, injustice, or economic hardships with blanket statements like, "If everyone just stayed positive, things would get better." This mindset creates a disconnect from reality, where real problems require real solutions, not just good intentions. Think about how this attitude plays out in personal relationships. If someone is constantly promoting good vibes only, they may refuse to acknowledge the inevitable difficulties that arise in any relationship. Red flags get ignored, conflicts are avoided, and instead of dealing with the issue at hand, they may respond with empty platitudes like, "Everything will work out in the end." Over time, this denial can lead to deep-rooted problems that could have been resolved if they had been willing to face reality head-on. It creates a false sense of security, which is especially dangerous when dealing with issues that need addressing, whether it's emotional, financial, or personal. In the long run, refusing to acknowledge real challenges is not only naive, but can also prevent meaningful progress and healing. Life isn't always sunshine and rainbows, and while positivity is a great tool, denying the darker aspects of life does more harm than good. By avoiding uncomfortable truths, people miss out on opportunities for growth and change, both personally and within their communities. 8. Exploiting trust. When someone radiates constant good vibes, it's natural to feel drawn to them. Their positivity makes them seem approachable, genuine, and easy to trust. But sometimes that seemingly endless stream of goodwill hides a more manipulative intent. Trust is built quickly with people who make you feel comfortable, and good vibes individuals know how to inspire that trust without much effort. Before you know it, you may find yourself sharing deeply personal information, doing them favors, or bending over backward to help them, assuming that their kindness and positivity are reciprocated. However, this trust can be a double-edged sword. In personal relationships, a person with ulterior motives might use your trust to exploit you emotionally or financially. They might play the victim to gain your sympathy or subtly guilt-trip you into doing things for them. Their constant positivity makes it difficult for others to see the manipulation that might be happening behind the scenes, and you may not even realize it until you're already entangled in their web. In professional settings, this behavior becomes even more dangerous. Imagine working with a colleague who's always upbeat, charming, and quick to praise others. But behind the scenes, they're using that persona to take credit for your work or push tasks onto you without any acknowledgement. You find yourself doing their job while they bask in the glow of being the positive team player. Their good vibes make them seem above reproach, which is why it's so hard for others to see their true intentions. At the end of the day, it's essential to remember that trust should be earned over time, not given freely just because someone projects positivity. Be mindful of who you trust and always look for signs that their actions match their words. People with good vibes may not always be as genuine as they seem, and it's important to protect yourself from being taken advantage of. 9. Pressure to conform. Perhaps one of the most insidious aspects of the good vibes mentality is the pressure it places on others to conform. When you're around someone who's relentlessly positive, it can feel like you're expected to match that energy, even when you're not feeling it. Over time, this creates emotional labor. You end up suppressing your true emotions just to avoid being seen as a downer or negative. This kind of self-censorship can be exhausting, as you constantly feel like you have to wear a mask of positivity, even when you're struggling internally. In group settings, this pressure can be even more pronounced. When a team or community is dominated by a good vibes-only attitude, it can stifle honest communication and prevent people from voicing their real thoughts or concerns. Think about it. If everyone's focused on staying positive, who's going to bring up the tough issues? Who's going to challenge decisions or suggest a different perspective? The fear of being labeled as negative can keep people silent, and in the long run, this lack of diverse input can lead to poor decision-making. Important issues get swept under the rug in favor of maintaining harmony, and problems fester until they become too big to ignore. This pressure to conform to constant positivity doesn't just affect group dynamics. It can also have a lasting impact on your sense of self. When you're always trying to meet the expectations of others by hiding your true emotions, you become disconnected from your authentic self. You start to question whether your feelings are valid or if you're too negative. Over time, this can lead to a sense of isolation and emotional exhaustion, as you feel like you can never truly be yourself around others. It's important to remember that real relationships, whether personal or professional, thrive on honesty, openness, and vulnerability. Positivity has its place, but so does authenticity. Don't let the pressure to conform to someone else's good vibes only mentality force you to suppress your true self. Healthy environments are ones where all emotions, good and bad, are allowed to coexist, and where people feel safe to express themselves fully. In conclusion, while there's nothing inherently wrong with being a positive person, it's important to recognize when good vibes are used to manipulate or avoid responsibility. Not everyone who radiates positivity is out to deceive, but it's essential to look deeper and understand the potential red flags. True emotional intelligence comes from embracing the full spectrum of human emotions, not just the positive ones. If you've made it this far, comment below with "Yes, sir," to let us know you've gained some valuable insights from this video. For more fascinating topics, don't forget to check out the recommended video on the screen. Thanks for watching.